Hi, I'm Allison Ladon Darawi. Welcome to the Ladon Method. This is our feels class. All you need is a mat and we're gonna get started. So just move at your own pace. We're going to start in a tabletop today. Stacking shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. On an inhale, drop the belly low, bringing the chin and hips high. On an exhale, hollow out, bringing chin towards chest, pelvis towards navel. Inhaling, dropping the belly low. Exhaling, hollowing out. And then take some time here to start coming into your breath, taking longer inhales, longer exhales, finding that full capacity of the lungs as you breathe in and out through the nose. Feeling as though you're sipping air through a straw. Find that rhythmic pace of your breath, as well as finding that complete depth of breath. You can continue with your cat and cow here, or you might take some more organic movement. You could take C curves of the spine where you find a neutral spine to begin. Then stick one hip out to one side, bring your gaze towards that hip that's sticking out, creating that C-like shape with your body. Moving from one side to the next. And you have some other options here too. You might take some nice big circles of the hips. You can always reverse the direction. Or maybe you're taking more of a serpent-like motion with the spine, feeling as though you're leading with the crown of the head, slithering between two poles. Just take advantage of this time to check in. Seeing what feels good and seeing what areas might need a little bit more of your attention. And then once you're ready, we'll find that nice neutral spine. Let's curl the toes under, lifting the hips up and back, coming into our downward facing dog. From here, let's take a little bit of organic movement. Make sure the spine is nice and long. You can always find a bend in the knees if your hamstrings feel a little tight. You might begin to pedal out your feet, but try not to compromise the lengthening of the spine, feeling the crown of the head and your sit bones reach in opposite directions. For a little bit more organic movement, you might wag the tail a bit, allowing the hips to move from right to left. You might nod your head right to left, up and down. Not forgetting about your breath here. Good. Once you're ready, on an inhale, let's reach the left leg high, bending at the knee, opening up the hips. This can be a really small movement to begin. Just allowing your hips to open up towards the left, trying to keep your shoulders nice and squared off towards the mat. And then from here, we'll square off the hips, step your left foot to the inside of your left thumb. Let's lower on to our right knee, coming into a low lunge on the back knee, but then we're going to take the torso to an upright. Take a nice big inhale here. On an exhale, let's lower the hands down, curl your back toes under, lifting your back knee off the mat. We'll step forward to the top of the mat, coming into a forward fold, relaxing your head and neck. Allow your torso to hang heavy. You can always bring a nice deep bend in your knees, allowing your belly to relax onto your thighs. And from here, you can find a little bit of organic movement. Maybe you're swaying your torso right to left. You might take ragdoll, grabbing onto opposite elbows. You might nod your head right to left, up and down, releasing some tension from the neck. On your own time, don't feel rushed to get there. We'll find stillness. Keep that nice bend in the knees. Allow your torso to hang heavy. Relax your head and neck, and very slowly roll it all the way up to standing. Your neck and head should be the last things to rise. Roll those shoulders back down along the spine. Let's bring the arms high overhead, getting nice and tall here. Then we'll find cactus arms, finding those bends at the elbows, about a 90-degree bend at the elbows. Feel that rotation of pelvis towards navel. Engage your core. Let's reach the heart high. Feel your shoulder blades move towards one another as you shine your heart upward. Inhale, let's take it to an upright. On an exhale, we'll swan dive it forward, arms out like wings, palms face down as you hinge forward at the hips. Remember, when you fold forward, you can always bring a bend in your knees, allowing you to relax the hamstrings a bit more. Pause for a moment in your forward fold, releasing a little bit more tension from the neck, nodding your head right to left, maybe up and down. On an inhale, we'll lift it up halfway with a nice flat back. You can bring fingertips to your shins right beneath the knees or fingertips to the mat. Just make sure you're lengthening the spine here, feeling your chest slightly puff out between the shoulders. On your own time, we'll plant the palms, step it back to your high plank, top of a push-up, lowering onto the knees. Keep your core nice and engaged, and we'll slowly lower all the way down onto the chest. From here, plant the tops of the feet, the nail side of the feet onto the mat. Engage your legs. And we'll slide the hands back in line with the lower ribs, just gently peeling the chest off the mat. Just taking a little mini cobra here. On your own time, lower it down. Let's lift it up to a tabletop and back into our down dog. Might take a little bit of organic movement here for a breath or two. Then once you're ready to take it to the other side, we're going to lift that right leg high, bending at the knee, opening up the hip towards the right side wall. Breathing into it, make sure the shoulders are nice and squared off towards the mat. We're not opening the chest towards the right side wall. This is an isolated movement, like most of our movements. Then from here, we'll square off the hips, reaching that right leg high. Step your right foot to the inside of your right thumb. Coming into our low lunge, we'll lower on to our left knee. Just take it to an upright, reaching the fingertips high. Coming into those hips, you might allow yourself to sink a bit further, but don't force it. And then once you're ready, you can lower the hands down. We'll curl those back toes under, lifting the back knee off the mat, stepping it forward to the top of the mat. Feet hip distance and parallel to one another. Once again, relaxing the torso down, taking any organic movement you might need here before slowly rolling it all the way up to standing on your inhale. Neck and head are the last to rise. Bring those arms high overhead. Let's find those cactus arms, shining the heart high. Take your time, move at your own pace. Eventually, we'll take it to an upright, fingertips high. On an exhale, swan diving it forward, leading with the heart. On an inhale, we'll lift it up halfway with that nice flat back. On an exhale, plant your palms, stepping it back to your high plank. You can take that modification we just took on the knees, taking a low cobra as your back bend as well. Or you can move through chaturanga, lowering it halfway down, then flipping onto the tops of the feet, coming into your up dog, allowing your knees and thighs to hover off the mat as you reach your chest forward. You really want to feel your belly button move towards the spine so you're engaging your core, protecting your low back. And eventually, we'll make our way back into our down dog. Not feeling rushed to get there. Feel your sit bones reach up and back towards where that back wall and the ceiling meet, lengthening your spine even more. Good. On your own time, let's reach that left leg high, bending at the knee, opening up the hips towards the left side wall. Keep your shoulders nice and squared off to the mat. This time through, maybe you draw nice big circles with the knee, opening up the hip even more. You might reverse the direction of those circles. Then once you're ready, let's reach the leg high. On an exhale, step it through to that low lunge. Dropping on to your right knee, let's take it to an upright, reaching the fingertips high. Pausing for a moment here. You want to feel your inner thighs squeeze towards the midline going down the mat, and make sure your legs are moving in line with your hips. So that right knee should be in line with your right hip. Left heel should be in line with your left hip. And from here, you might take it a little bit further, maybe allowing the hips to sink a bit deeper. You might bring your palms together. You might reach your chest a bit higher, but again, never forcing it. Try to feel strong and stable. Come out of it a little bit if you're shaking. Good. And then once you're ready, you can lower the hands down. We'll curl the back toes under, lifting the back knee off the mat. And this time through, We're going to spin the back heel flat. We'll rise it up to a warrior one. So your back heel is flat, nice bend in the front knee, hips are squared off to the top of your mat. And then we'll open it up to our warrior two. You can play with the distance between the feet. You might take a longer stance here, getting that front heel in line with the back arch. Extend the arms out like wings. On an inhale, let's reverse it, reaching it towards the back of the room. On an exhale, take it into your extended side angle. Rotate your chest up towards the ceiling as that left forearm is placed gently on to that left thigh. On your own time, on an inhale, we'll reverse it, reaching it towards the back. On an exhale, let's cartwheel the hands down, framing the front foot. Step it back to your high plank, top of a push-up. Keep your body in that nice straight line, moving through your flow. Maybe it's chaturanga and up dog. Maybe you're taking that modification on the knees in your low cobra. See where your body needs here. Taking another round of breath. And once you're ready, let's reach the right leg high, bending at the knee, opening up the hips towards that right side wall, squaring off your shoulders to the mat though. You might even see if this time through, maybe your left heel can melt even closer to the mat, but not forcing it. And you might take those nice big circles with the knee. And you might reverse the direction of those circles. And once you're ready, reach that right leg high on your inhale. On an exhale, let's step it through to a low lunge. You know, if your foot doesn't make it all the way to the inside of your right thumb, you can always assist the foot forward by grabbing onto the calf. Lower onto your left knee. Let's take it to an upright here. Reaching your fingertips high. You can allow your hips to sink forward, coming a little bit deeper into the hips, but try not to feel any pressure in your low back. At the same time, you want to feel a slight rotation of your pelvis towards the navel. You want to feel the belly button move towards the spine, so there's not any compression there. You might bring your hands together. You might reach your chest a little bit higher, taking a slight back bend. Your gaze might float upward. And once you're ready, let's lower the hands down. Curl those back toes under. Lift your back knee off the mat. You can spin your back heel flat. We'll rise it up to a warrior one, squaring off the hips to the front. Let's open it up to our warrior two. Take a moment to settle in here. You want to keep your low body stationary when you're moving through these warrior two positions. So see if you can keep your right knee right above the ankle. On an inhale, we'll reverse it. Try not to compromise that low body positioning. Then take it into that extended side angle. Rotating your chest up towards the ceiling. Let's reverse it. And on your own time, not feeling rushed to get there, we'll cartwheel the hands down, framing the front foot. Step it back to your high plank, moving through your flow of choice. Good. On your own time, at the bottom of an exhale, we'll step the left foot to the outside of the left hand, then we'll step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. You might stay pretty lifted here, that's perfectly fine. Just take a little peek at the positioning of your feet. You want your knees to be moving in the same direction of your toes. And so as an indicator, you want to make sure that your knees are moving in line with that second toe next to the big toe. And you can adjust the feet so it's nice and comfortable on the knees. You can also adjust the height of the hips, just making sure that you're nice and comfortable here. We're going to be here for a few rounds of breath. If you want to take this further, you can bring your elbows to your inner thighs, just allowing the thighs to open even more, coming even deeper into your hips as you press your palms into one another. Try to relax your shoulders down. Now, a lot of us are very tight in the hips, so you might find that your shoulders start to shrug, but instead of allowing that to happen, see if you can lengthen the neck. See if you can lengthen your spine, feeling your chest move towards your thumbs of those prayer hands. Taking another couple rounds of breath here. From here, we're going to gently rise up to standing, reaching the fingertips high, reaching the chest high without sticking the butt out. And then we'll sit the hips down low. Once again, make sure those knees are moving in line with the toes, planting the hands. We're stepping the right foot back. And so your left toes are slightly turned out. You're in a little variation of your low lunge. And then from here, lower onto your right knee. Release the top of the foot onto the mat, the top of that right foot. Bring your left hand to your left thigh, and you can twist towards the left. You might reach your fingertips high. Just try not to shrug in that right shoulder. Stay nice and lifted. If you're feeling pretty open here, don't force it. You might reach around, grabbing onto the top of your right foot as you bend in that right knee. Really coming into that right quad, the front of your thigh. This is a really great stretch for that. The closer your right heel comes to your glute, towards your butt cheek, the more you're going to feel that in your quad. So wherever you are, make sure you're still breathing. And on your own time, lower the foot down. Place your hands onto the mat. Curl your back toes under. Lift your back knee off the mat. And from here, we're going to pivot the feet towards the right side wall, paralleling the feet to one another. Coming in to a wide leg forward fold. Hinging forward at the hips. You're slightly pigeon-toeing your toes, so you're very slightly turning in your toes. And you're hinging at the hips, so you want to maintain the length of the spine, almost feeling as though your chest is moving towards the floor rather than hunching over. If you start to hunch, then come up a little bit higher. Seeing where you want to take this. And on your own time, let's lift it up halfway. You can bring your hands to your hip creases and rise it all the way to an upright. From here, pivot your left toes to face forward. We're coming into a warrior two stance. Nice bend in your front knee. On an inhale, reverse it. Reach your left fingertips towards the back of the room. Maintain that nice bend in your front knee. On an exhale, cartwheel the hands down, framing that front foot. Step it back to your high plank, moving through your flow at your own pace, moving through chaturanga and up dog, or any variation you like. Not feeling rushed to get anywhere. And on your own time, at the bottom of an exhale, we'll step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. We'll step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. And we'll sit it down nice and low, coming into this low squat. Now make sure your heels are grounded on the mat. You might have to lift your hips up a little bit higher to get that grounding of the heels onto the mat, so you're not coming as deep into your hips. Remember, you want your knees to move in line with your toes, so play around with the positioning of your feet. You never want this to be uncomfortable on your knees. Staying here for a couple of rounds of breath, breathing into it. Try to lengthen your spine. Try to lengthen the neck. And then on your own time, we're going to rise it all the way up to standing very slowly, shining the heart high, reaching the fingertips high. And let's sit it down nice and low. Planting the palms, we're going to step our left foot to the back of the mat. So we're in a variation of our low lunge here. And then we'll lower the left knee onto the mat, releasing the top of the foot down. Let's bring the right hand to the right thigh. So here, your foot positioning of the right foot, toes are slightly turned out, so your knee is moving in the direction of your toes. Right hand to right thigh, we'll come into our twist on this side, opening the chest towards the right side. Using your right hand as leverage, your spine is nice and long, always when you're twisting. And you might reach your right fingertips high. Remember to not collapse into that left shoulder. You want to stay lifted, you want to stay strong here. And if you're feeling really open and you want to come deeper into that quad stretch we took earlier on the other side, you can bend in your left knee, grabbing on to the top of your left foot, feeling your left heel move towards your left glute. The closer it comes, the more you're going to feel it in your quad. Wherever you are, just breathe into it. Finding that length and depth of breath. Once you're ready, you can let it go. Let's lower the hands down to the inside of your right foot. We're gonna curl our back toes under, lifting the back knee off the mat. And then we're crawling over towards the left side of the mat, pivoting the feet. Take a peek at those feet. You want them parallel to one another and in line with one another and slightly pigeon-toed. And so from here, you can see how deep you want to come the second time through. You might hinge a little bit further at the hips. Remember, we're not hunching here. You want to try to keep the spine pretty long and just hinge forward at the hips, seeing where your depth is. Eventually, maybe your head comes all the way down onto the floor, but not forcing it. And on your own time, you can lift it up halfway. Let's bring the hands to the hip creases, keeping the spine long, slowly rising it to your upright. Then we'll pivot the feet, coming into a warrior two stance. Your right toes are facing directly forward, right heel's in line with your left arch. Spread those arms out like wings. On an inhale, let's reverse it, reaching it towards the back. On an exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Step it back to your high plank, top of a push-up. Let's move through our flow of choice. And eventually we'll meet in our down dog. And from your down dog, you can come into a tabletop. Then we're going to come onto our knees here. So we're going to come into our camel pose. So don't take this too far. It can be pretty intense for a lot of people. So first off, I want you to measure the distance between the knees. Should be about 2 fist widths. You basically want the knees right beneath the hips. So the knees should be hip distance from one another. You want your shins parallel to one another. Feel that rotation of pelvis towards navel. So spine begins very long. And then bring your hands to your low back to frame your sacrum as if you had 2 back pockets. Feel your elbows move towards one another. Feel your shoulder blades move towards one another. Feel the belly button move towards the spine and begin to reach your chest up towards the ceiling. You want to make sure the hips stay right above the knees. You want to avoid leaning back with your hips here. You can stay where you are. If you want to take this even further, you can curl your toes under so your heels are more lifted, grabbing onto your heels. Maybe just your fingertips touch, but feel your hips continue to move forward so they stay above the knees. Your head might drop back, but not forcing it. Once you're ready to make your way out, make sure that low back is nice and supported. You can bring your hands back to the low back and then very slowly roll it back to an upright. And then from here, let's bring our big toes together to touch, knees out wide. Sit your hips towards your heels, reach your fingertips towards the top of the mat as we come into our child's pose. It's a nice one to rest in, especially after such an intense back bend of your camel. Reacquainting yourself with your breath if you lost it. You can begin to rock your forehead right to left, up and down. Massaging your third eye, that center of intuition. And then we'll slowly begin to lift up. Let's roll over onto one hip, extending the feet forward. Scooching your hips down, and let's lower it all the way down onto the mat. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Giving yourself a nice big squeeze here. Let's come into a happy baby, bringing the bottoms of the feet to face the ceiling. Bring the knees out wide, as if you're framing the sides of your body with those knees. You can grab onto the bottoms of the feet, or you can grab onto your hamstrings in your happy baby. You just want to make sure your low back is connected to the mat, and you can begin to rock from right to left. Try to keep the back of your neck long here. Just beginning to slow things down. You begin to hug your knees in towards your chest. Wrapping your arms across your shins, giving yourself a nice big squeeze. Giving yourself a nice big hug. Your forehead might come towards the knees. Taking little sips of air in through the nose. On an exhale, releasing on to your mat. Oop. You can extend your feet towards the top of the mat. Allow yourself to just spread out here, bringing your arms slightly away from your side body with your palms face up. Feel your shoulder blades melt down towards your heels. And with each round of breath, allow yourself to melt a little bit deeper into your mat. Relaxing fingers, relaxing toes. Feeling a sense of gratitude for this time you set aside for yourself. Thank you for moving with me and for holding me accountable to you. I'm sending lots of love and positive energy your way. Please feel free to stay in this restful posture for as long as you like. I can't wait to see you next time. Goodbye.